the fiasco of the champagne stealing incident.
Hello, hello, hello. How's everyone doing tonight? Welcome to the live stream. How's everyone doing? Finasco in the chat, everybody. So welcome to the post-show live stream, where we're going to be talking about just everything from the last episode that just happened, where there was a lot of mispronounced words and a whole lot of drama. So before we get, can't really hear you. Can't hear you. You're so muffled. Okay, sorry. 1 second. Let me just figure that out. The sound is weird. All right. What about now? Can't hear me? Okay, so hold on 1 second. So quiet. What's going on here? I don't know what's up with this. Give me 1 second, everybody. Sorry about this. I don't know. I have no idea why this is happening, but I've changed nothing. But give me 1 second. Sorry, folks. Bit better. All right, here I'll also put it a little bit closer to my to me as well. All right, excellent. Sorry about that. I don't know what the heck was going on. I've changed nothing since the last stream, but all right. If we're good, then we're gonna continue with the live stream. Hopefully, no more problems. Okay. All right. Awesome. So welcome to the live stream. I don't know what was going on with that last.
I'm like befumbled. I mean, I don't know another word.
But apparently we're back. So perfect. So thank you for joining us in this post-show live chat. If you're watching the recording of this afterwards, welcome. To anyone on the West Coast as well, welcome. Sorry I can't do this live with you folks, but thank you for joining as well. We only have a couple of rules before we get into the chat, the questions, everything that's going to go on tonight, talking about the show. Number one, please, no posting spoilers. No outright spoilers. Sleuthing and anything like that is totally fine. We love that. But otherwise, please no outright spoilers. And apart from that, just be kind to each other. So let's start talking about this episode. And I've got a new little thing here. Try to make the image sequence fine. Sound is bad again. Why is this happening? Okay, sorry. I have no clue why this is happening. All right. No sound. Sound is what? I have no idea why this is happening. Can't hear anything. I can hear you, Danny. Just stop doing that. All right. I have no clue why this is happening. Here, let me. I'll double check my settings just to make sure everything's. A little bit better. That's better. Your sound is clear, but just far away. Sound better. I can hear you better. Danny's my brother who is also watching the stream, by the way. That's what that is. And he's telling me that there's a problem with the sound. All right. We're good? Okay. Yeah, Danny's my son. No. Tell Danny it's someone tell Danny it's all good now, please. Still in a tunnel? You still sound far away. I have no clue what the heck is going on with the sound. I have literally done nothing. Sorry to anyone who's listening to this. I have done absolutely nothing to change my audio. So I have no clue why. It's all good now, Danny. Not all good. Okay. Yeah. All right. Am I moving? Nothing has changed with my. How about now? Is there anything? Is there anything better now? Cool. Is your mic outside the house? Okay. All right. So, I maybe if I turn this gain up here. Okay. So let's just if it's okay, if it's good. Most people are saying it's good, so we're just gonna kind of go on. All right. Yes. Let's get over this this for now, and we'll just kind of get through this live stream. So let's talk about tonight. All right. Jeez, I have no clue. I'll figure this out in the week to come. So tonight, whew, I'm off my game now. I'm thinking all I'm thinking about is the audio. But Alea not getting a rose tonight. So it's for some people it's very bad, and for some people it's not. I have no clue why that seems to be. But so apparently a lot of people seem to think that Alea is fake. And then and so it's one thing when a number of people say that a person is fake versus one. Now, I'd be interested to see what would happen if they polled the entire house. But at least 4 or 5 people seem to say that that Alea is fake. And look, it's no surprise that there are people that are on there for more than just Peter, right? You know, it's not uncommon that people are going to be coming on this show for more than just love. I mean, at the end of the day, like if you were going on the show and you've got 30 or 29 other women around you, and you're thinking, well, what if I don't make it? You know, you might be thinking, well, hey, at least I have Instagram or to fall back on. I have a potential social media career, so I don't blame her for that. But it's definitely another thing when a number of people, and I don't blame Peter for making the decision that he did. It's something like you imagine yourself, you'd be worried that people are being fake with you. Do you think that Peter loves Ashley P? Yes. I don't think she's being intentionally fake. I think she doesn't know herself other than her pageant self, which isn't go for marriage. Which that's a possibility too, right? She she's very young. She's lived mostly as, you know, a pageant girl, and that's probably a bit of her personality, is this like putting herself on in front of other people, and that can seem and feel fake too, right? Who is Alea? Alea is the one who. Oh yeah, okay. It's pumpkin pie fish. When she went around making sure that she's a good person, doesn't play well. Yeah, yeah, and you know, so I mean, I get when she said, I didn't want um, Victoria to tell the producers that we knew each other because it it might seem that we are, you know, we know each other and then we won't get on the show. But it's a little bit of a stretch, because there are many people who have known each other before and been on the show. Um, so I, you know, I can understand her argument there, but I also take it with a bit of grain of salt. So for some reason, I just don't get a good vibe from Madison. The conversations have no substance. But one thing of note is that, have you noticed that every single episode, Madison gets a little bit of one-on-one time? Every single episode, she gets a little bit of that, like, very cutesy one-on-one time where they have a nice little conversation, and then it moves on back to the drama. Just a little reminder that Madison is there and that, you know, she's a sane, nice person. In my opinion, that's a very positive edit. Every episode so far, apart from the first episode where, well, I mean, it's only been 3 episodes, but every episode so far, apart from the very first episode where she got a one-on-one, um, she's had a little segment where Peter's pulled her aside and and had a nice little conversation. It doesn't mean like she's the pick, but it means good things, I think. Do you think Maddie's edit is too strong? That's another thing to consider. But it feels like they're trying to be subtle with that. So so it doesn't necessarily mean like she's the one. I just think it means like she's likely a Final Four at the very worst. Who do you think about that ex-boyfriend from the promo? Yeah, so it looks like next week that Victoria, the other Victoria, Victoria F, gets a one-on-one. Most likely, is what it seems, and that there's an ex or something on the date or who shows up. It wouldn't be the first time that we've seen an ex show up. I mean, we saw an ex show up on Becca's season, not on Becca's season, but when Becca was a contestant on Ari's season, and but that was much later in the game, and I don't know what it'll mean though. Have you noticed that him and Madison only talk about their first date? Yeah, but I mean, it's only been like a couple of episodes, though, right? And I would imagine that they continue to talk about their first date. Like it's something you do, right? If you're in a relationship with a person, even if you're married with someone, like you talk about your first date. It's something you connect with. If you connect with on a big level with someone. And JPJ for Bachelor. Kelly's edit for Bachelorette. I'm loving her so far. Her edit is very similar to Becca's. Thoughts? Say hi to Danny in the post. Yeah. Um, yeah, so that's an interesting thing. It's incredibly hard to think of someone for Bachelorette at this point. Um, like obviously, one of the examples from last year was a lot of people felt that Kaylin was getting a push for the Bachelorette, right? And she seemed to be she's maybe not the winner, but she's looking like a good I guess PR move for Bachelorette, but that can change in an instant, and we saw that last year with Hannah Brown, and Kaylin and Hannah Brown had the whole Battle of the Beauty Queens feud, and eventually public opinion started to shift because Hannah Brown was the one who was sort of doing the snitching and saying, Kaylin's not who she presents to you, Colton, and and people kind of turned on her at the beginning, but then saw that Hannah Brown, over the course of time, wasn't quite as she was just kind of quirky and Olivia, thank you so much for the super chat. Love you and your videos. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for supporting the stream. Really appreciate the super chat there, and thank you for your viewership as well. So yes, to say one person for the Bachelorette at this point, um, even if it might feel like one person's getting a good Bachelorette edit, that can change. That can change very quick. We saw that last year with Hannah Brown. Have your picks for the final four changed at this point? Not at this point. Not at this point. I spoke in my last preview breakdown that my picks for at least like the final six area, maybe seven-ish, have definitely changed. That outer fringe, but at this point, not quite as much on the final four, but one thing I would say is that based on this last preview that we're seeing, Victoria, the other Victoria, Victoria F, is someone to watch. However, just because someone gets, is the new one-on-one of the next week doesn't mean we should get so excited about them. My final four original were Madison, Kelly, and Hannah Ann, and Victoria P. So Kelly, who's and Ashley P. And I like Victoria P as well. Someone just said I love you. I love Victoria P. Natasha is someone who we've sleuthed out could make it far. Because, and I talked about in my last video, the sort of timeline of events that we have Costa Rica, we have Ohio, and that's going to take up the next like 2 or 3 more episodes, which means if we're doing like every episode 2 or 3 people go home, then the math adds up to South America being somewhere around the final 8, final 6 sort of range. So and so yeah, and people are talking about Sydney and stuff. That's another thing. Typically, like one thing that I've talked about in videos past is how the whole snitching situation usually goes. And this was a situation where snitching early on seems like to have worked out very well for Sydney. But regardless of how you look, like of the details of the whole situation, at least for this episode, it's really kind of worked out well for her. And I guess to be fair, she's not the only one to do it. It might have worked out differently if the other women hadn't said anything, but there were at least 4 other women who were saying, yeah, Alea, watch out for her. But it's interesting that's a bit different. I noticed the scar above Peter's eye is changing in the previews. I think he got it while filming. Yes, so he definitely did, and he's spoken about it in interviews. So Peter, at some point, he smashes his head like into a golf cart or something, and and that's how he gets a scar. So we don't know what episode that's going to be, but it happens at some point. It happens at least early enough that there's a group date with Sydney and Natasha that we've seen in the previews, where he's in his pilot outfit and the two of them are kissing him, and it feels like a very acting kind of date, like they're on the set of something to do an acting sort of challenge or whatever. Do you think he's going to ask Alea to join the house back next week? So that's another interesting thing, because we've seen Alea in the preview for next week, and it definitely appeared like it's not a fake out. It's not footage from a previous episode. It doesn't appear to be. So the kind of the question is, is she brought back? Because Peter did say at the end of the episode, like, is it a mistake? Should I feel a connection with her? But it kind of, there was a question of is this the right decision with him? So I mean, the only possible scenarios are that Peter asks her to come back, and so the rose that Chris Harrison has taken away is brought back and given to her, and she rejoins the competition, which would align with the previews. So there in the previews there has been a picture that sort of looks like Alea walking away, and it might be from the next episode. But there's a lot of context that's not attached to it or context that we don't know yet, right? Like, is she walking away? Is she coming back? Is she doing Hannah Brown that we never got to see? For those of you who might not know, Hannah Brown went back to Colton during the hometown segments of last season of The Bachelor, and because Hannah G, the other Hannah that stuck around after Hannah Brown, was from Alabama, and during that hometown, Hannah Brown went and visited Colton, and we saw footage in the previews of Hannah Brown knocking on his door and coming back and having a conversation with him, and her and him sort of, what I'm guessing is walking her out to the elevator. And obviously that never panned out. But could we be seeing the same sort of situation? That the Hannah Brown one never made it to air, obviously, and that was something we talked about on the channel, like, what was up with that? Where did this footage come from? But I heard Hannah B just asked Colton what went wrong, and that's very possible, right? But what I'm sort of saying is that could this be the same sort of situation that we've seen before, or not seen before, really? Yeah, they didn't put her in that because she was going to be the Bachelorette, and that was something else that I wondered too. Was that why was this left out at the time, other than it made her maybe not look as good? So that's another possibility, that she comes back, or But all we sort of know based from that preview is that she seems to come back. And it doesn't seem to be like a situation where at the end of the rose ceremony she comes back, like she walks away and she's about to go into the limo, and then she turns back and says, I want to have a conversation with Peter, and they both sit down because of what she's wearing. And so that's what's the big thing for me there as well. So, because it has happened before, and it's not a stretch to believe that it might happen that, she does that as well. But it doesn't seem to be that. She's not wearing the same outfit in the preview that she is during the rose ceremony. And Chris Harrison even says Hannah Ann causes some of her own house drama. Yes, in the live stream that he did before the season aired, he also mentioned. So he said that Alea, and this is and that reminds me, he said in that live stream as well that Alea does something that has never happened in Bachelor history. So I'm guessing that's something that will happen next episode. But I mean, we'll see what what it is. But he also said Hannah Ann is involved in a lot of drama, and he said Victoria F as well. And he said a lot of things about a number of the women there, but he seemed to emphasize those three women. So, I mean, obviously we're seeing the drama not work out well so far. But I think the sort of Hannah Ann stuff, she's going to make it much farther. And we've seen, that drama sometimes can happen at any point in the season. Jed and Hannah Brown is an example of, a big example of that. I don't see the chemistry between Kelly and Peter at all. They just don't seem like they're quite right for each other. Anyone else? I don't disagree with you there, but it's early, and I wonder about this. Like we got another little. The two women who seemed to get little check-ins this week were Kelly and Madison, but we've seen more of that happen with Madison before. But Kelly, it can change. One thing I will say, and it kind of is something I always think about a little bit, is, in my opinion, during Sean Lowe's season, I didn't see his final pick coming. Obviously, she, at least till the final, 4-ish. When she made it into that final 4-ish area, she became a much more serious contender. So I think about that often. I mean, it's not always the rule, but sometimes there are exceptions, and so it makes me wonder. But I don't know if Kelly would be that, but she certainly fits into a. I don't see Kelly making it to the top 4. That could be possible, but I think she, to consider her out of the top 6 would be wild, and I obviously think she's much more than that, personally. But we'll see. Kelly's family seems like they would participate in the purge. Well, they're lawyers. I don't know what that means, but I'm not the biggest fan of Victoria P. Almost seems too nice and too innocent. And she's way too afraid of teacups. Do you think we will see Hannah B again? I don't know. I haven't heard much. I don't know if there's been any word or anything like that. I definitely think that we won't see Hannah Brown until the very end, if she does show up. If she does show up, it won't be until the very end, because let's put on our tinfoil caps and say that Hannah Brown and Peter reconnect. And that whole theory is something that actually happens. If that were to be what actually goes down, that won't happen until the very end of the season, because obviously the people at The Bachelor need a season to occur, right? We need someone who's going to be The Bachelorette. We need people who are going to be on Bachelor in Paradise. We need a show that people are going to want to tune in week after week in hopes of seeing Peter find love. Right? So, no matter what, even if Peter this whole time was thinking, oh gosh, I'd really like for Hannah Brown to be here, and if she did show up, I would totally, fall for her and run off with her, that's not going to happen. They're not going to let that happen. So, if we saw Hannah Brown again, it wouldn't be for a long time. So don't expect to see her anytime soon. Even if they've been posting and having people from past seasons come on the show, it won't be Hannah Brown again. Do we know the date of the final rose ceremony? Was Hannah on Dancing with the Stars? That's a good question. I think Peter said something like it was the end of November. I think when the rose ceremony was, the final rose ceremony occurred, was around the same time that the season preview happened for the show, and what I mean, like the season preview that they posted before the show, which was at the end of November, because I think he said that on Jimmy Kimmel or something like that, and I remember thinking, oh, then that means the same time that the preview came out or something like that. So it would have been the end of November, I think. So I think that was that was definitely after Dancing with the Stars was done. Don't quote me on that, but I remember him saying that on like Jimmy Kimmel or on it was either Jimmy Kimmel or some sort of one of those People magazine or Access Hollywood interviews or something like that. Does anyone think Hannah Brown would do Paradise? Well, does anyone think that Hannah Brown will be the Bachelorette again? Because that's another thing people are talking about. That if they're like, would Hannah Brown be a contender for the Bachelorette again? I think it would be pretty. I think it would be too much to have her be the Bachelorette so soon again. My sort of thinking on that was, after the first episode, I personally felt there were not many people on the show that I was rooting for that I felt were going to go far. And that's obviously going to change, because we're going to get attached to people, and we're going to, like, one person's going to get their heart broken, or two people, or whatever happens at the end of this thing, and we're gonna want that person to have their chance at love, and there's going to be opportunity for bachelorettes. But my thought sort of there was, geez, there's not a lot of people that I'm really attaching myself to, emotionally or rooting for or whatever, and would they do then Hannah Brown? Would they say, oh, okay, well, nobody wants any of these people, let's go for Hannah Brown again with this whole thing? I think no, not so soon. She's been so like in the forefront. People might be, it's just too much. But that doesn't mean that she won't come back again. And I could see that happening in the future. But someone asked also, has anyone shown up on Bachelor in Paradise who's been a lead? And as like a contestant, I don't think on the American version that's happened, but on the Australian version it has. So I wonder if the Australian version, the people of The Bachelor look at, because on the season of the Australian Bachelor in Paradise that occurred before the most recent American version of Bachelor in Paradise, there was a brief romance between two women, and then on the American season recently, there was the whole Demi and Christian thing. So I mean, obviously, you can't say, well, one, that must mean they looked at that and copied that, but it's something that you might wonder, right? Are they watching that and seeing how people react to the events that happen on the Australian version of the show and go, people liked that, they will probably like that on the American version. So it's no guarantee, but it's food for thought. Yeah, Ben Higgins was on Winter Games, but yeah, I don't think that counts for Bachelor in Paradise, but it's true. He was on Winter Games. Nick Viall and Colton they were on Paradise, but that was before they were the Bachelor. That was before they were the lead. I think the question was, has someone who has already been the lead gone on afterwards? So yeah, and Brad Womack was Bachelor twice, so we do know that someone has been the lead more than once before. They have done that, and that was sort of famous because Brad Womack chose no one at the end of his season. And they also have strayed away from, like typically on the show, they will choose a bachelorette from the most recent season of The Bachelor, and then they will choose a bachelor from the most recent season of The Bachelorette, and in a couple of cases from Bachelor in Paradise, the most recent season of. But they have gone with different choices before. For example, Ari was not from the most recent season of The Bachelorette or Bachelor in Paradise. So, it's possible. Why didn't they pick Peter Krause? I think there was a few articles on that. What the last time I looked at, which was a while ago, so I don't know if there's been an update on that information, but he was not, he didn't want to do it, but that's not updated information. That's from like 6 months ago, so maybe there's something new that came out about that. I don't know. I don't think Hannah will go to Paradise. I don't think so either. I think I think like just from a I think Hannah Brown has a lot of things in the fire. I think she's got a lot going on. I think the only thing that would bring her back to Bachelor World would be another round as the Bachelorette, or as a one-off, like she did, like she was supposed to do on this season, like a group date, like leading a group date thing. She might go on Paradise if she was there to do a one-off segment just for one day and not be a contestant. But I don't see that she'd be back. And yeah, Hannah needs a break. She does. I really don't think they will let a lead on Paradise after all the fails Bachelor World has had with second chances. Yeah, so I don't disagree with you there, but I also think that if it meant big ratings and a lot of drama, that they wouldn't care. So, for example, in the Australian Bachelor in Paradise, they brought on both the previous, or not the previous, the 2 times before or something like that, Bachelor and his final pick, who had split up and had a sort of emotional, somewhat private split up. And when they came on the show, they had this big conversation with each other about their breakup that was sort of left unresolved. And so that was big TV. So I could totally see the if the people at The Bachelor felt that there was something that they could get some good TV out of, they would probably consider it. So, so yeah, and people have said Jed. Would Jed be on Bachelor in Paradise? And the kind of question there is, would they get enough TV out of Jed, right? So, for example, Jed comes on Bachelor in Paradise, and I think there would be a number of people who might go, do I want to attach myself to that? I don't know. I don't know what the deal would be. If the people at The Bachelor felt that people would kind of just go, no, we don't want to attach ourselves to Jed, and Jed kind of just goes away immediately, and it's a one-off, maybe that's not worth it. But if there are people who might keep Jed around, and that becomes a thing, and they feel like they're going to get good TV out of it and get people attached to it, yeah, they might do that. You know, it's a weighing game. What do they think that the drama outweighs the negative? So, yeah, I'd love to see Sean Booth on Paradise. Yeah, that might be an interesting one. That would definitely be an interesting one. Yeah, and Jed has a girlfriend. Yes, we're talking hypothetically here. So, but the point is mostly about the show will do what it feels like is going to get the best reaction and viewership, and they're going to weigh that with the negative. And if they feel like the viewership outweighs the negative, why wouldn't they do it, right? So that's sort of my I don't think they would put Jed on. I don't think Hannah Brown. I think they would put Hannah Brown on, but I don't think Hannah Brown would do it. But I do think the idea of Hannah Brown being the Bachelorette again is something that is enticing to people, especially the people at The Bachelor, but not for this upcoming season. And so we're gonna need to see a whole season come out. We're gonna need people from this season to be the Bachelorette. Someone from this season will. It won't be Hannah Brown, is my strong suspicion, but maybe in the future. So we are going to be coming to the end of the live stream here. If you've got any questions or anything to throw out now, bring them out, because I'm gonna start getting ready to go to bed, get up early, and start working on videos. So, have you seen the news about the Bachelor spinoff for musicians? Yes, I have. I have seen that. I read the announcement sort of article, but we'll see how it is. We'll see how, if it's any good. I mean, they do spin-offs every once in a while. The only one that seems to have lasted is Bachelor in Paradise. But do you think they will pick another black bachelorette? Not this year. I mean, I think there were people who pushed for that, and that happened. I hope it will happen again, that there will be a lead, that they'd be open to, that, and that it would happen, but I mean, I see no reason for it to happen this year based off of what the people at ABC have done. But I mean, look, anything could happen, and I hope so. But if it feels right, I hope so. But I don't. I mean, I feel like they've had their time when they can say, look, we did it, and that'll be that. But who do you think will be the next Bachelor? Peter again. No, almost certainly someone on the next season of The Bachelorette. Tammy would be a great Bachelorette. I agree. Based off of what I've seen so far, I agree. It won't happen. It won't happen. Tammy's great. I think Tammy's funny. She's got like a few more episodes in her at best. She's going to make it to Costa Rica, we've seen, but I think she just kind of falls into that middle of the pack. There's nothing wrong with her, but yes, friendly reminder to turn your volume down after this. I don't know what was up with the volume there, but I'm sorry about that. I have no clue, but I'll try to figure it out for next live stream. Peter Krause next. Yeah, I think that ship has sailed, but I understand why you say that, and I don't disagree with you.